biggest thing for me is to maintain my independence, and part of the biggest way in which lobbyists and these groups try to influence congressmen is with money. Now, fortunately, I've got 35,000 donors nationwide, and it's people like you. You are my base. You are the primary lobbyist to me in terms of that. With current laws, it's limited. They're limited in what they can give. But in the end, it comes down to it's a decision on the part of each and every congressman, because no matter what the law says, people who tend to be influenced by other people who want people to give them favors in return for it will find a way to make it work, whatever the law says. I think, and to his credit, in terms of how he's been smart in going about things, when you look at what way Jack has implemented his process, it's always been at arm's length, but there's no question for folks and those around him that there is a pay-for-play kind of there's a pay-for-play aura about him that is very real for those who are seeking influence and seeking to make a difference. So the in terms of those who break the law, yeah, prosecute them. But in the end, it comes down to let's elect people who are going to be forthright, who you feel you can trust, and you can trust your gut, because otherwise, because no matter what the law says, you can have all the rules in the world, people are going to find a way around it. So you had a question?
I'm guessing that you speak to a lot of groups like this one, both locally and across the state. What's your view of the status, the state of the conservative movement today, as opposed to what it might have been a few years ago?
Well, I think it's gotten very, very energized. I think there's a lot of folks that, I'm sure there's a lot of you in this room that 3 years ago might not have really thought politics impacted your life much, but have suddenly gotten energized because you realize that the decisions that politicians make have a very, very big impact on your life and the future of your kids. And people want to make that difference. It's been good. I think in many ways, I think Sarah Palin's been a big energizer for this, because people see, if nothing else, a woman with a lot of common sense. Whether or not she has all the experience in the areas of the world, as a lot of people have tried to explain, but when you look at what she says, baseline, she speaks from the heart, she speaks from her gut, she speaks from the principle centered, that she understands what it's about, and whether or not she's an expert in every area, which no politician is. She's got good instincts, and you've got a good, strong person whose core and center is well-rounded, and who will make decisions in whatever new areas, well-grounded in that, in those principles.
What about right here in southwestern Pennsylvania, what you see?
I'm seeing a lot of people who, just like here tonight. We got the call, I guess, just a couple of days ago, and John, had invited you all here, and we have a good crowd here. We have 55, 60 in here tonight. Probably 45, 50.
37.
37? No, much bigger. Yes, ma'am.
Now, how do you feel about gun rights? And I know that ammunition is getting very hard to get. Now, I have heard that some states, because the federal government can't control the states, and so some states will manufacture their own ammunition and sell it in their own state, and they can't touch them. Is there a possibility of something like that, or how do you feel about that?
Well, when I firmly support the Second Amendment, if you look closely at my left ankle, you'll notice I'm carrying. I strongly support the Second Amendment and everyone's right to be protected, in their homes and on their person. When you look at the issues of, the Second Amendment was written for people who live so that people did not have to fear the government.
Amen.
Right.
It was also written so that people could live unmolested in their homes and have the right to protect themselves in their homes. I firmly support that. When we look at so many of these situations where you have the mass shootings, they all occur in gun-free places. Even if I were a total bad guy, I would be I'd be very slow to even consider the possibility of drawing a weapon in a room like this with people who are probably of similar ilk to me.
But you never have to use it just by saying you're carrying.
Well, that's just it, and, no, I firmly support the Second Amendment, and I'm very, very concerned about the way they're going, you know, that there's been all kinds of rumors, I haven't seen them, you know, about, you know, reporting guns on tax returns and all that bit, you know, it's just not, I'm dead set against that, and, you know, like I said, I was endorsed by Firearm Owners Against Crime, and I have an A rating from the NRA.
In Western Pennsylvania, it
Yes,
probably would save them a lot of time if they made the market if they didn't have firearms.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Where do you stand on abortion?
I'm 100% pro-life. Been endorsed by Pro-Life PAC and 100% Pro-Life PAC. But, I mean, the bottom line is, and this comes down to one of the philosophical things we talked about decisions, and this is also in the healthcare bill, the issues with abortion in it. You know, when we look at the birth certificate of this nation, the Declaration of Independence, you know, those opening lines, that, you know, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which they meant to be property. Well, if we are endowed with a right, this nation was founded upon the principle that we are endowed with a right to life by our Creator. I believe that life begins at conception. That's when your rights begin. If we ignore that, or we have government deciding whether or not when you're alive and when you're not, you open up a whole lot of, you know, very, very slippery slope. And then you run into issues, you know, whether it's embryonic stem cell research, where they start creating life to destroy life, to experiment on it. That's just wrong. So, now it's something I firmly believe. Then, you know, that's the way God made us, and He's the one who gave us our rights. It is the role of the government to protect those rights. The government cannot create new unalienable rights for you. Yes, sir.
Therefore, you believe that the health bill is unconstitutional?
Oh, yes.
To begin with?
Yes, I believe this health bill is unconstitutional. There's no constitutional authority for it. Yes, sir.
Earlier, you asked us to remind you to tell us how to defeat the health care.
Yes, sir. A lot of you have been calling your congressmen and your senators, getting their offices. Now, it's gonna take a little bit of work.
You don't get through.
Well, here's what you do. You go to FEC, Federal Election Commission, FEC.org, and you look up the campaign disclosure forms for the candidate. Now, on those campaign disclosure forms are all their big donors. Now, I'm not saying call up and harass the donors. That's not what we want to do. What you want to do is, if you, particularly those of you who have business relationships, you may have business relationships with these donors. When you look at all the negative